Yes guys, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Conan and today I'm going to give you one of my many strategies that I've used to help get rid of my body fat that I use personally along with all of my other clients. So without any further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Now before we do though guys, I just want to preface by saying this. In order for you to get rid of your body fat, you have to keep one very simple rule in mind, and that is making sure that you're in a calorie deficit. All this really means is that you're eating less calories than you burn on a daily basis, right? So make sure that's number one, you find what your maintenance calories are, which I've made numerous videos about. And then secondly, from there, simply subtract 500 to 1,000 calories from that number to put you in a calorie deficit to lose anywhere from about 1 to 2 pounds a week every single week. So 1 pound of fat has 3,500 calories. So if you want to lose 1 pound of fat, you'd have to be in a 3,500 calorie deficit for the week, right? And so that means being in a 500 calorie deficit Monday through Sunday, 7 days out of the week, you should be losing 1 pound of fat. If you want to speed it up a bit more, maybe lose 2 pounds, then simply double that and be in a 1,000 calorie deficit, right? So make sure that you find your deficit number first, because none of this will really make sense and none of this will work unless you have the basics covered, right? Calorie deficit is going to be the key to help you get rid of the body fat. And now once we have found that, you'll probably notice that it's going to be kind of difficult, right? Because like you are eating less calories than your body requires to maintain its weight. And so naturally your body is going to be kind of hungry, right? Like it's going to start to like rumble a bit. It's going to go through different phases during the day where it's going to be slightly hungrier than others. And so this specific strategy I use every single day, and it's kind of like part of my lifestyle now. It's also personal preference, and again, all of these strategies you may see online really comes down to personal preference because, again, there's many ways to skin a cat. Some people prefer doing it this way, whereas others absolutely despise doing this, but they're still seeing phenomenal results, and that is because, like I mentioned, they have the calorie deficit in lock, right? And so the strategy that I use personally is called intermittent fasting. I know you guys have probably heard this numerous times before. You probably hear it on social media. People talk about this. And honestly, there's nothing really special or magical about this. All that this really does, it just decreases your eating window, right? So let's say typically speaking, you have your first meal as soon as you wake up at 8 a.m. and you have your last meal, let's say at 8 p.m. for dinner time, right? That is a 12-hour feeding window, right? From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Whereas intermittent fasting, all you're really doing is just you're delaying your breakfast, which by the way, guys, breakfast simply means breaking the fast. So you're simply breaking the fast at a later time point in the day, right? So instead of breaking your fast at 8 a.m., now you may be breaking your fast at, let's say, 10 a.m. or 12 p.m. or 2 p.m., right? However long you can kind of like go without eating in the morning, right? So instead of now having like a 12-hour feeding window, you're just simply reducing that down to maybe a 10-hour feeding window or an 8-hour or a 6-hour feeding window, right? So you're fasting for, let's say, 16 hours out of the day, and then the other 6 hours you get to kind of like eat more, right? And the reason why this is so popular and the reason why this not only works for myself, again, personal preference, but so many other people is because and I don't know if you guys are the same, but I enjoy eating food and I'm a big eater, and I do notice for myself that I can definitely go first thing in the morning without eating because I'm not a big breakfast eater. I don't really wake up every single morning wanting to eat like a big buffet of like scrambled eggs, bacon, English muffins, whatever. Like I could really and I also like feel most productive in a fasted state. And so there's so many reasons why this kind of fits within my lifestyle. Number one, I'm not hungry in the morning. Secondly, I operate better cognitively, mentally in a fasted state because I do notice for myself that eating foods, especially in the morning, kind of like weighs me down a bit, especially like a carb heavy meal. It kind of like weighs me down and I'm not like as sharp mentally. And so by just being fasted, not having any food in my system first thing in the morning, my creative juices are kind of flowing and I just feel a lot more just productive and I can actually get a lot more stuff done. I also find that eating breakfast in the morning is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's a hindrance, but it's kind of like in the way. Like, of course, sure, you can eat something like really quickly on the go, but I'd rather like actually enjoy my meals and just kind of like savor every bite instead of quickly rushing out of the house, eating a quick bowl of cereal and then like quickly going. And it's like, oh, I've already eaten like 500 calories there and I'm still hungry, right? It's like I want to make sure that I actually savor each and every bite. which is really apparent when you're in a calorie deficit. You really get to like savor each bite because it's so, you don't have as many calories to kind of work with when you're in a calorie deficit. You really want to make sure that you actually enjoy every meal that you eat as opposed to just like quickly rushing through it, right? So those are two of the main reasons why this works for me personally. So number one, I'm not hungry in the morning. Perfect. Number two, I feel a lot better just not eating first thing in the morning. Perfect as well. And then also I noticed that later on in the day, I get hunger, and then also that's when I tend to have more of my cravings, right? So this allows me to eat larger meals in a shorter time frame. So instead of, let's say, having 6 smaller meals spread out evenly throughout the day, which is awesome. I know a lot of people that are doing that. They're still in a calorie deficit and are losing weight. Awesome. Or you can simply reduce the eating window, maybe have 3 larger meals in a shorter time frame, right? And all this really comes down to is personal preference. If you, right now listening to this, enjoy eating smaller meals more frequently spread out throughout the day, keep doing that. Whereas if you're more like myself and you enjoy eating larger meals in a shorter time frame, just so you don't kind of like feel hungry later on towards the evening time when I personally tend to get most of my cravings, then do that, right? There's no right or wrong answer here. Like I mentioned, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so as long as you make sure you're in a calorie deficit, there's a bunch of ways that you can kind of go about this, right? And ultimately find what works best within your current schedule and like your day-to-day life and your lifestyle. If you are right now in a family and breakfast is like a big part of like your morning routine or just like of your family's tradition, then don't intermittent fast during that time. Like, of course, like do what you have to do, right? Whereas if you grow up or if you right now live in an environment where similar like myself, you're just living on your own or you don't have like these big breakfast obligations, then and you feel sharp in the morning without eating anything, then go ahead and give this a shot, right? And now during this time, especially if you're just getting used to this and like you want to give this a shot maybe, you'll notice that you're going to be kind of hungry, right? Especially the first kind of couple times doing this. And so the way that we kind of combat our hunger is by doing 2 things. Number one, making sure we stay hydrated. So you guys should be drinking water as soon as you wake up in the morning because oftentimes, guys, we mistake hunger for dehydration. So if you notice that especially in the morning, you're like really, really hungry, do not, and I repeat, do not eat something right away. I want you guys to drink 1 liter of water before doing anything. You can apply the same rule before eating any other meal. So before you eat your lunch, before you eat your dinner, before you even have a couple snacks, try to just drink a bunch of water first, and you'll notice that you're not going to be as hungry as you were prior to drinking all that water, right? And especially first thing in the morning, like I know you haven't eaten for, let's say, 7, 8, 9 hours, but before you eat anything, just again, drink a liter of water and you'll realize that you actually weren't as hungry as you were prior to drinking the water, right? Because it basically expands your stomach by drinking water, which tricks your brain into thinking that, oh, it just ate something, right? And in reality, you didn't eat anything, you just drank a bunch of water, which is 0 calories, obviously, right? So I make sure that I stay hydrated in the morning, just to make sure that, again, I don't get super, super hungry. And then the second thing I do is caffeine. So caffeine is a wonderful drug. Technically speaking, yes, it is a drug, but it is legal. You can get it over the counter. You can get coffee, teas, energy drinks, like it is completely legal. You do have to be careful of caffeine because the FDA does recommend anything or no more than 450, or I believe it's only 400 milligrams of caffeine per day because you can definitely overdo it and you, instead of reaping the benefits of it, you can actually get some of the consequences of having it, right? Which can kind of like make you more sleepy, more groggy, and just kind of like, again, depending on how you react to it, it's like I feel fine if I have caffeine, but I know some people just like don't get the good effects from it, let's just say. So with caffeine, make sure you stay mindful with that. Make sure that you don't overdo it, no more than 400 milligrams per day, and try not to have it too late in the day as well, because you definitely don't want to put yourself in a situation where you drink the caffeine and then you cannot sleep at night anymore, because the half-life of caffeine is actually 6 hours and the quarter life of caffeine is 12 hours. And so if you drink caffeine, let's say 500 milligrams, which is a lot, at noon, you're still going to have 250 milligrams of caffeine in your system at 6 p.m. and you're going to have 125 milligrams of caffeine in your system at midnight, right, at 12 a.m., which is not what you want, because that could negatively interfere with your sleep, which is not fun. Sleep is really important, especially when it comes to fat loss. And by the way, guys, when we are sleep deprived, two critical appetite hormones in our body go into opposite bad directions. So ghrelin, which signals to your body that you're always like hungry, actually goes up, and leptin, which signals to your body that you're nice and satisfied, actually goes down. So you notice that you're going to be a lot more hungry when you're sleep deprived. Plus, you're also going to be craving a lot more like just junk and sweet foods as well, which is not what you want, especially when you're trying to lose body fat, right? So make sure you prioritize your sleep. Do not have caffeine too late in the day. But I personally, I keep it simple. I drink my water first thing in the morning, and then an hour or two afterwards, I'll have my first kind of like beverage of caffeine. Super simple. I just have a black coffee, and I love the taste of coffee. I used to hate it, by the way, but actually, like, I really like the taste now. I like the bitteriness. No cream, no sugar, because if you do add the cream and sugars, obviously that has calories, and that's gonna kind of break the fast for you, right? So if you can, try to just keep it black. You can also have a tea or also like a 0-calorie energy drink. So the reason why I drink caffeine is for two specific reasons. Number one, it increases your alertness. It gives you more energy, which is awesome, right? And then the second thing, which is super, super important, is that it actually suppresses your appetite. So this is like the best of both worlds. Not only do you gain more energy, you also get less hungry, which is absolutely ideal, especially when you're trying to lose weight, right? So those are the two reasons why I take it, and why you should also consider taking it. Again, be mindful, don't overdo it, and don't have it too late, but definitely a little bit can definitely go a long way. That is what I do personally to kind of like make this whole fat loss journey a lot easier. Definitely feel free to give this a shot. And now if you do need help losing your body fat and you have no idea where to start, what to do, how many calories to eat, I know I mentioned calorie deficit at the start of this video, but if you have no idea how to like calculate your maintenance calories and then putting yourself in a deficit and then knowing like what foods to eat, how much to eat, your macros, your protein, all this stuff, do not worry. I got you covered. So in the link in the description is actually a link to book a free consultation call with me. Basically on the call, it's completely for free. We'll go over your fitness goals, we'll go over your struggles, and we'll create a game plan together to help get you to your goal, whether it's losing 25 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever it may be, I got you covered. So the link is in the description down below. If you guys do have any questions for me, please let me know, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.